All right, let's just dive right into an incredible, totally unseen microscopic war that's actually happening inside you right this very second. I mean, as we speak, there are complex mechanisms, specific flows, and highly specialized defenders working tirelessly to protect your very existence.
So did you know that every single second, your body is actively fighting off just countless microscopic invaders? Yeah, it's absolutely true. And white blood cells, well, they're the unsung heroes at the heart of this relentless defense. Understanding exactly how they mechanically work, how they move, and how they spot threats isn't just, fascinating, it's absolutely crucial for acing your O-level human transport systems exams. Okay, here's our game plan for this explainer. 1. The unseen microscopic battle. 2. Blood composition breakdown. 3. Lymphocytes and antibodies. 4. Phagocytes and phagocytosis. 5. Solving real exam questions. And finally, 6. Common mistakes and a quick recap.
All right, moving right along to Section 2, blood composition breakdown.
Scientifically speaking, blood is actually a fluid connective tissue. If you look at the screen, notice how the liquid matrix, that's the plasma, is flowing all around. Suspended right within that plasma are what we call the formed elements. You can see the explicit call-out labels pointing directly to the red blood cells, the platelets, and of course our main focus for today, the white blood cells. So blood really isn't just this one uniform red liquid, but a highly complex transport system.
Now, let's look at the actual scale here. Notice the massive volume taken up by plasma, red blood cells, and platelets. But then, look at that incredibly thin, intensely colored slice right there. That represents your white blood cells, or leukocytes. To put it into perspective, they make up a critically small percentage of your total blood volume, yet the sheer magnitude of their role in your immune defense is it's absolutely massive. Which brings us to Section 3, lymphocytes and antibodies.
Let's walk through this chronological sequence of a lymphocyte executing a tactical strike. Right here in Step 1, the lymphocyte has to first accurately identify the pathogen. Once it locks on, it moves to Step 2, producing these specialized proteins called antibodies. Now check out the directional arrows popping up in Step 3. These vectors literally show you the mechanical force of the antibodies as they physically clump the invaders together, basically marking them for destruction, or directly binding to and neutralizing their toxins.
Okay, Section 4, phagocytes and phagocytosis. Enter the phagocytes. While lymphocytes kind of act like chemical snipers, phagocytes are essentially like the Pac-Man of your bloodstream. Notice on the diagram how the structural boundary of the phagocyte actively changes shape in Step 1. It's mechanically wrapping around and fully engulfing that foreign particle. The scale indicators here show you just the sheer size of the particle being swallowed whole. Then, in Step 2, the cell actually digests the invader internally. This entire physical, mechanical process, that's what we call phagocytosis.
So, the absolutely crucial contrast you need to remember for the exam is laid out side by side right here. On the left, lymphocytes mature in the lymph nodes and produce chemical antibodies to neutralize threats from a distance. On the right, phagocytes rely on physical phagocytosis to, mechanically engulf and digest particles. They are two totally different mechanisms.
Let's put this into practice in Section 5, solving real exam questions.
All right, we've got a classic two-part exam question here. Part A asks you to name the two kinds of white blood cells. Well, straightforward enough, right? Lymphocytes and phagocytes. But look at Part B. One is produced in bone marrow and matures in lymph nodes. Describe how they keep our body healthy. To secure full marks here, you've got to follow the logical flow. First, identify that the cell maturing in the lymph nodes is a lymphocyte. Then, and this is key, explicitly state its mechanism of action. It produces antibodies to neutralize pathogens. Seriously, if you just write it fights disease, you're going to lose marks.
Here's another super common exam format. Explain why blood has protective mechanisms in the human body. When you see a really broad question like this, you have to connect the specific micro-level actors, like the white blood cells and antibodies we just talked about, to the macro-level result for the whole body. So the precise answer is that these protective mechanisms are essential for actively defending against infections and ultimately maintaining homeostasis. Homeostasis, that is the exact biological keyword examiners are hunting for sure. Finally, Section 6, common mistakes and recap. Okay, here is a major trap you absolutely must avoid. Thinking all white blood cells are exactly the same.
Honestly, this is probably the single most common misconception students have. Just because they both make up that tiny sliver of blood volume we saw earlier, people assume they do the exact same thing. But as we've visually mapped out today, they have completely distinct origins and highly specific functional roles. Remember, lymphocytes produce chemical antibodies, while phagocytes perform mechanical phagocytosis. If you merge them together in your head on exam day, you will definitely drop points.
So let's lock in everything we've learned with a quick step-by-step recap. Number 1, blood is a fluid connective tissue comprised of plasma and formed elements. Number 2, white blood cells, despite their tiny volume, are the absolute key to our immune defense. Number 3, lymphocytes execute their defense by producing targeted antibodies. And number 4, phagocytes execute their defense by actively, physically engulfing invaders through phagocytosis.
It is just truly amazing how our bodies naturally and automatically fend off diseases every single second of the day. So as a final thought to leave you with, the next time you get a simple paper cut, take a second to ask yourself, which of these specific, microscopic defenders is physically rushing to your rescue right in that exact moment? Keep the vivid mechanics of this unseen microscopic battle in your mind as you prepare for your exams, and I'll see you in the next explainer.